800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joejakeman here, solo this morning, trying to look in here at the markets. The Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ are all negative. The Dow, not a lot, down about 10 points. The S&P's down 8, the NASDAQ's down 85. Gold's up $4 here, 19.84. Silver's up 14 cents, $20.25. This market recap brought to you by our friends at Y-Refi. You got to check these guys out. You know, we're talking about places that aren't correlated to the stock market. Don't care if the Fed's made a policy mistake, are going to continue to make policy mistakes. Is it going to be a mild recession, a deep recession? They really don't care. Up to 10.25% fixed rates of return, interest compounded daily. It's paid monthly. You can do whatever you want with the interest. You can use it as income. You can roll it back in. You can change your mind. You can use it as income every other month and do something else the other months. It really is kind of a really cool program. Check them out, investyrefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, R-E-F-Y, or call 888 Y-REFI-24. Remember, you do have to have $50,000 to start. So we're seeing some signs that deposits are starting to come off again. This has been a trend that has improved since the little mini crisis. But it reversed again last week. I'm not too surprised, and I'll say because tax season, I would imagine some of these deposits probably just simply were going to taxes. The thing that wasn't great is the banks are still borrowing from the Fed. We've seen the borrowing. Remember, it crested at like $400 billion. But we have seen it falling since then until last week. Last week, the borrowing actually rose from both Fed loaning facilities. They rose by about $5 billion. So it wasn't like it was 50 or 100 billion, but it's something that we're going to have to keep our eye on, which just says any type of withdraw action out of these banks are going to turn to the Fed because they know that all this is going to do is if we sell assets to cover the gap in our deposits, it's going to be a money loser, the discount window. So this is going to be more of a short term. Hey, I'm going to borrow it this week. I'll let you know next week type thing. Rose by $1.6 billion. Banks are now borrowing about $70 billion a week from the discount window. And then the Fed's created a bank term funding program. This is banks that are going to be like, well, you know what, I'm going to have to borrow, and I'm going to have to borrow for a while. And I want to say under this program, they can get these loans for up to a year. This one rose by $2.1 billion, now sits at pretty much $74 billion, and the Fed's new program. And this is on top of, we got news out of Moody's that they downgraded 11 more banks over the weekend. I know that Zion's was in it. I want to say Bank of Hawaii. There was a few others. If I can dig it up, I will. Now, in fairness to this, because I don't want people to panic, a lot of these banks were initially rated as very strong by Moody's. They've now been downgraded to strong. So these at least on the vast majority of them, I didn't see any of them, at least they didn't disclose it, that any of them got downgraded into junk status. That would be cause for alarm, but we will keep our eyes on that. And then the Silver Institute. When we get back, we're coming up on the break here in a few minutes. I think I got time. The silver supply. And this is the same thing. Put platinum in this as well. I don't know if you've seen platinum back above, I want to say $1,100. And I think platinum's got a long way to run as well. But the silver deficit hit a record high in 2022, and every single category. So they break silver demand. They have industrial demand, by the way, record. They have investment demand, right? That's kind of where Patriot fits in. Record. Jewelry and silverware demand, record, right? Those are the three buckets. Every one of them set a record in 2022. And the World Silver Institute said it was the most significant market deficit on record. 237.7 million ounces. They noted that the deficits in 2021 and 2022 have more than offset the previous 11 years of surplus. So just in 2 years, silver has wiped out 11 years of surplus. And I really again, this is going to be another one of these catalysts driving the silver market, because the Silver Institute went on to say that there was unprecedented demand in 2022. They say that 2023 shows no signs of letting down. The report said industrial demand rose to 556 million ounces, up 5% from 2021. Another record year now being predicted for 2023. So already, hey, we've got a deficit. And the biggest piece is the industrial demand. They're anticipating another 4 to 5% increase in industrial demand for silver. They're saying that demand for silver as an investment has been skyrocketing as well, and says once again they anticipate 2023 will be a new record year as far as demand for silver investing. And they said that silver jewelry demand, by the way, that one was up 29%. Well, of course, with COVID and lockdowns, probably kind of expected from that as well. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. 9510592 Patriot Radio News Hour. Joejakeman here on a Monday. We apologize for our issue on Friday. Hopefully we'll have Jason back. Jason's actually working on a project for us, so we can make sure what happened Friday doesn't happen again. But we're working on those things as we speak. But man, we're just talking about silver demand. I think the need for people to own precious metals continues to skyrocket. The path that we seem to be headed down with control of the media. I don't know. Normally I don't talk a lot about this, especially on this show. But Dan Bongino and now Tucker Carlson are both out at Fox. It's kind of shocking here. Tucker Carlson, the highest rated show in cable history, is out. His last show apparently was Friday. And same with Dan Bongino. He is out as well. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this censorship type stuff. They'll call it what they want. They quote unquote agreed to part ways. I'm just reading through the tea leaves here. Hey, you know what? We just getting too much heat for what you're saying. So you guys are out of here. And I think people can expect this in all aspects of life. Financial freedoms are going to be smaller and smaller. The digital currency is coming. This is how they're going to tell you they can fix it. See, they can't fix inflation. And they can't fix the debt, right? They let it get away from them. They believe their own press clippings. We've entered this super cycle of debt. Now they're going to use the digital currency. Well, if people just buy what we want them to buy, then we can somehow put the genie back in the bottle. And I think that's really what they're going to say. And of course, a mild recession won't convince people that that's what they need to have happen. Expect something far, far greater. And why, when we look at a demand for silver, it just makes so much sense. Right now, rolls of silver $half, while we still have some. This is very tight supply here. They're at $300 a roll. Silver quarters at $285 a roll. Silver dimes, $142.50. The 10-ounce silver bars, they're still showing that there's some inventory left here. This will be kind of like a Bongino Tucker Carlson. We'll keep selling them until they say we're out. And then once they're out, they'll be gone for good. Still at $310 at 800-951-0592. A huge wipeout of silver stockpiles in 2022. This is the second straight year of deficit. 2023 is projected to be another near record year for silver deficits. Already wiped out the last 11 years of surpluses. This is one of those things where, again, we're expecting the Fed to raise rates and then kind of leave the door open, signal that the pause is coming. We think that's going to get gold to all-time record highs. And remember, already, I think we're going to see silver in the 30s. And if this supply deficit continues to grow, that could very, very easily put silver closer to 40. And that's just this year. Obviously, when you think about it, silver's probably the only thing I can think of that, silver hit its high in 1980. And hasn't been back there. I mean, we almost touched it. I want to say 2011, and then Wall Street played a bunch of games, but neither here nor there, at $50 to the ounce. I mean, I think this is why a lot of people, they talk about, well, silver could go to 200, 300, 400. Yeah, I guess it could. I hope it doesn't, because that's going to be bad. But man, $100 sure would be logical, wouldn't it? Right? Hey, doubling of its all-time high. That's sounds pretty reasonable. I mean, think about gold. Its all-time high was 800. Right? Now we're talking about a gold price that's getting ready, we think, to break the new all-time high here. It's about $100 away from it right now, but $2,500 gold, well, that would be gold went up 3 times. Well, that would, if silver did that would put it, at $150 to the ounce, and we're now in the this big, huge supply deficit, and we went through the 10 largest silver producers in the world, and with the exception of a couple of them, and unfortunately the ones that were the exceptions were at the bottom of the list, silver supply continues to decline. So again, I know it's expensive, the premiums are high, but it goes with the territory of, hey, guess what? The reason the premiums are high is because there's just not a lot of inventory to be had. 800-951-0592. Just breaking news. Tucker Carlson is now out at Fox. Dan Bongino made that announcement at the end of last week as well. And again, some people are saying this is tied to the Dominion lawsuit. I don't know. Don't have that information. But some very, very interesting moves coming. And again, I think this is why 1360 is so popular. They just don't want to have anybody out there calling them out on their BS. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. (800-951-0592) Patriot Radio News Hour, wrapping this up on this Monday. We got Dane Wigington coming up next. Global Alert News. Dane, as always, has interesting takes on where he thinks we are headed as far as climate. So if you want to tune into that, that's coming up next. Gold's up 5. 1985. Silver's up 16, 22. I'm sorry, 25, 22, and the Dow it's down a little more now, down 50. The Nasdaq's down 13. Or I'm sorry, the S&P's down 13. The Nasdaq is down 111 points. News out of the Silver Institute. Again, painting a picture that we've been playing out in these silver markets for quite some time now. Unprecedented demand, a record silver shortage in 2022. Looks like it's going to continue into 2023. Probably just a matter of, hopefully it's an orderly rise. And again, silver, we all know it's undervalued, and JP Morgan has a lot to do with that, and blah, 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 blah. Hey, consider yourself lucky. Consider yourself lucky that you can buy it for less while it is. Are we going to see those, a week, 3 to 5 days where silver goes up $3 or $4 every day for a week? I hope not. But I got a feeling that that's probably what's going to happen. We're going to get a burst, and you're going to see silver run deep into the 30s to try to see, at a certain point, you would hope if silver gets high enough, right, demand comes off. But until that happens, you're going to see this, and I think as long as the Federal Reserve is going to send the message that, hey, we fought inflation for as much as we could, it's going to be a problem. And let's not forget, we've got the debt ceiling coming, the federal budget deficit skyrocketing again, and you're starting to see the articles now out in the mainstream news about the de-dollarization of the world. It is shocking. It's a pretty quick pace all of a sudden. The dollar still is going to be number one, but the percentage that the dollar is going to be used continues to fall. Well, what does that mean for us? That just means less foreigners having the need to buy that debt. And so that's going to be another interesting thing that could be plaguing the U.S. debt markets as we start running $2 and $3 trillion budget deficits, and at the same time, I think we'll see the end of quantitative tightening. Of course, we kind of already have, right? The banks are borrowing, $150, $160 billion a week from the Fed's facilities. Not exactly a reduction of the balance sheets that we've been promised, but again, we kind of knew that all along, didn't we? 800-951-0592. The utility silver, some like to call it junk silver. Silver half dollars at $300 a roll. Quarters at $2.85. And the dimes at $142.50. 800-951-0592. God bless everybody. Dane Wigington coming up next.